Do you struggle drawing these curls in your animal portraits? I get it. They are a bit tricky, and I show you today in that video how you can draw them realistically and give you tips and tricks about that. Before we start, check out my Fur Basics course. This will help you to draw realistic fur in your animal portraits. And now let's dive in.
Hi, I show you here how you can draw these fine curls of a curly fur.
This is a drawing lesson out of Animal Art Club, my private membership, my online drawing school, where I teach my students how to draw realistic animal portraits with pastel pencils. This is a fur of an alpaca, and these curls can be really a bit tricky. To get them right and to get them look realistic, I show you today some tips and tricks to get it right.
So the important thing is first to avoid hard edges and then to draw not with framing lines, more with areas around the curls and shades. And also very important is so that you always draw them darker where they start and make them lighter than only here at the fine ends of the curls. So let's draw some curls, so one or two curls here. I have here the pit pastel pencils, the ivory, a flesh color, ochre, so burnt ochre, a middle brown, burnt sienna, a walnut brown and a black. And then let's start with a lighter color, 103, ivory for example, and let's draw first the shape of the curl. Or let's draw in here some of these curls, so just do it here, so freehand, and bring in here some fur curls and just draw here the outline of these curls. Sketch them in here. Also let's draw here another one, and then let's bring in a bit of the brown between, a middle brown, so between and around these curls I fill in here a bit of a brown, so I darken down here the area between. And then let's come to the first tip, so avoid hard edges. For example, when you then bring in shadow below a curl, most of the times I see my students do this, that they draw here a dark line around the curl. So for example here, bringing shadow around, or draw with the black here, so shadow around and create hard edges and such a framing line, and it does not look realistic when you bring in here so black lines around, and maybe you fill up here the space between with the brown. It does not look so realistic, more like a graphic. To make your clumps and your curls pop up, use a dark color like maybe the dark brown or also a bit of the black, and draw more here, so areas below the clumps. Also you can use the black here, and the important thing is that you use areas, that you blend these lines downwards, that you don't have only so framing lines, that you really blend with a paper stamp the black and the dark brown downwards. Here also blend here this black line, and if you cannot blend it to a larger area, use the black and swipe over and apply a layer with black. Let's also add here a bit of shadow between and below the clumps, above with the black, and then blend it so that this is not a frame, so not a sharp edge, that these are always soft edges and more so areas of shadow behind and around the clumps. So here, blend the color. I blend it a bit and let it fade. Here, blend it a bit. And then let's fill out these areas of our hair clumps here with ivory, with a lighter color here. So fill out this space. I follow the direction of the clumps here with ivory and fill in here, so in the direction, some lines. And then also blend this with the paper stamp. Blend this here, so I always blend the layers I have applied. And also blend here the hairline very well, where the clumps start, blend them. And here is my next tip, that you always blend the hairlines very well and mix in here darker pigment, so that the beginning of the clumps here are darker. Also bring in a bit of an orange brown into the fur here. I bring in a layer of orange brown here and color these hair clumps a bit with the orange brownish burnt ochre color here. Follow the hair direction. And then also blend this. Blend this. And then go in with the brown and add fine details, always in fur direction. And with the middle brown and these lines of hair and of shadows in the clumps, I automatically darken down the hairline, the part where the hair is growing out here. So always make them darker where they are growing out, these clumps, and lighter at their ends. Here we can also bring in a bit of a dark brown or darken brown, these hairline parts here, these shadow parts with a dark brown, and darken down this part where our clumps are growing out here. Add some darker shadow parts along the clump, along this curl. And then let's use a paper stamp and blend this a bit. And then also go in a bit with a flesh color and add so fine overlapping fluffy hairs and some little curls, or here fine strokes, fine lines. Always work with a light hand. This is also another tip I have for you. Always work with a light hand. Don't press too much. And let's hear some hairs overlap then in all directions. Add some flesh colored strokes and lines. Here, draw many of these lines in all directions. Make them a little bit so curly and curvy. Add some more over the clumps here, the curls, and then let's take a lighter color, either a sharp ivory or a white or both. And then let's make the ends of these little curls lighter, brighten them up, and the beginning is always darker. Let's end here, so fine hairs. Here we see I did not correct these sharp edges here. I don't want to have them. So let's take here the paper stamp once more and make here more of the black, bring in more of the black here, more of a an area here below, or bring in here a bit black between, and take the paper stamp and blend the black so downwards. I don't want these framing lines as I've mentioned before, so always when you work further to the next part in your portrait and you see you have to correct something, then do it right away here. Correct these framing lines. I've drawn here framing lines before around my little clump for demonstrating this to you. And so I bring in here also a bit of the brown between this curl and blend this a bit, and then add with ivory here some lines out of this curl, or some more crossing hairs here, so that the ends of this clump or curl here are lighter. I also add here so fine overlapping strokes, and then these fine fluffy little hairs that are going in all directions and overlap here our curls. The ends are always lighter, and here the beginning darker. And then let's add here some of these hairs so upwards, and let's draw them in all directions. Here, refine your fur, then your fur rendering, and voila, here it is, a nice curly fur. So this was a short demonstration how to draw fine curls, and so these curls and these clumps, and add fine details and add contrast and depth. We can add here a bit with the brown again between, bring in more contrast and more depth. Okay, so again, as summary, let's summary this briefly. My tips are: first, avoid hard edges, blend them into areas, and also darken down here always the beginning of the clumps.
Okay, did you like it? I hope this is helpful for you. Don't forget to check out my mini fur drawing course to get tips and tricks about drawing realistic fur in all structures and different colors. See you in the next video. Bye!